Welcome back to Life You Imagined. My name is Nico, and today we're going to be talking about the book, The Highly Sensitive Person. Ew. So let me give you a little bit of backstory of why I picked up this book in the first place, because context, right? That always helps. So I had initially read the book called Quiet by Susan Cain. Is that helpful that I'm pointing to it? Do you have more context now? It was all about introversion, and that was more of a sort of a journalistic approach, so it just kind of told the story about introversion, which is, again, a very good read, very interesting. However, I wanted to know more about some of my own curious, behavior patterns and thoughts, and why I felt the way I did. I would often deal with a lot of anxiety in public situations. I deal with, I felt overwhelmed a lot. If I do, let's say, too many things in a day, I would have to recharge and recover. And a lot of people that I know that don't experience that, sometimes would give me shit for it. Like, really? You barely did anything today. You need to rest already? Yeah, I do. I feel drained. I feel really drained. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like there's too much going on. So I wanted to find a book that sort of dealt more in detail with that kind of a thing. I didn't know if that was just introversion in general, if it was an extra layer of something on top of that. Some other weird thing that apparently I have in addition to all the other weird things that I have. So I noticed a lot of people who bought that book bought this one. And initially, again, if you look at the title, I guess you don't have to look at it, you can hear me say that would probably work too. The Highly Sensitive Person. What does that make you think of? Because at least for me, when I first heard that, I was kind of like, that sounds really cheesy. Sounds like very fragile. Yeah, like just a really delicate flower. And, and anyone who says anything around them is like, oh, God, oh. Like, hey, excuse me, can you, what, oh, he's highly sensitive, I see. Well, I'll ask someone else. That's what it made me kind of feel like, and so it felt like a silly title. That is until I started actually reading about how the author, Elaine Aron, she's a therapist, by the way. Excuse me, psychotherapist. She's a fucking psychotherapist. Hey, her words, not mine. I'm not trying to slander her. But she uses this term in a very specific way. And so I'm going to now tell you what she said, so you can be prepared for the part where I tell you. When she uses the term highly sensitive person, what she's actually saying is that there are certain people in the population, I think about 20%, she said, that are this highly sensitive type. And what does that mean? What it means is basically you're the kind of person that takes in too much information from your surroundings or from a situation. You absorb more, and I don't mean to say this in a way that makes it sound like really cool. You absorb more depth of a situation than you want to. So if you're in a social situation, you're taking in all the cues about everyone's behavior and their clothes and their movements and what the smells are like and the sounds and the environment, and you can't help yourself but take too much information. Like, you don't need this much information, but this kind of a person takes in too much information and hence becomes overly stimulated, and very, very easily so. And to me, this is very fascinating because this seems to explain some of why I have a lot of anxiety in certain situations, why I don't deal with big groups or lots of noise well. And it kind of sucks because I'm a musician. And I don't like going to a lot of shows. I don't like going to places with big crowds, which is not very helpful if you're trying to actually get out in the world and play music. I don't like being in situations because it has in the past, and I'm not saying it does right now, but it has in the past given me panic attacks. I don't like, it's too many people for me, and my body closes up and I start freaking out, and it's too much stimulation. It's too much fucking stimulation, and I start to shake. I need to fucking get out of there. And it's like, I'm breathing really fast. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't fucking do this. I need to get outside. Doesn't happen all the time. I'm not trying to say it happens constantly, but it has happened. It absolutely has happened to me. And even in smaller groups, if I feel unfamiliar with the situation, if it's a bunch of people that I don't know, even a handful of people I don't know, and then I start thinking about too many things, and I can't do it, I gotta go. So that's not fun. That's what I was trying to get to. That's the stunning conclusion, is that's not fun. And again, have you experienced this too? Am I the only one? No, of course I'm not the only one. You may, if you're watching this, maybe that sounds familiar, or maybe you know somebody that's experienced this too. If you have, I would definitely recommend this book. I really liked this one. I got a lot out of this. There's a lot of chapters where I felt very validated after reading it, and I know validation's important. But that's only one piece of the old proverbial pie/puzzle. And we're looking for, of course, ways to function better in the world, yeah? To actually be able to maybe deal with this a little better. I think it helps just knowing that this is something within your nervous system, something within your brain that it's overactive. And again, not in a way that's like it gives you special powers, now you're extra smart and you know all these things. It's not about you. It's not the fact that you're smarter. So it's not an ego boost. It's simply the fact that you process too much information subconsciously at one time, so you can't take in too many things over the course of a day. One thing that I've experienced too is like if you've ever had friends or family in town that are visiting vacation, let's say, and they want to see all the sights in whatever city you're in, as opposed to cities you don't live in. They want to see all the things to see and do all the things to do. And I noticed that, we can do a handful of those, and I'm okay. I'm like, hey, cool, let's go to this place, and let me take you to this restaurant, and let's go see this location, and this is really cool. After a while, it pretty much destroys me, drains all my energy, and I can't function. I go, okay, I literally am going to go lay on the floor. I'm going to go lay on the floor in my house. You guys can go back to your hotel and do whatever you want to do. But at the same point where I'm feeling like that, pathetic, on the ground, needing to recharge and can barely function and talk after only a few events that day, the family or the friends or whoever the people are that are visiting are like, hey, let's go out. Let's go do more stuff. What can we do at night? What can we do over here? I've heard about this place. Like, really? More driving, more doing things, more like I can't fucking handle it. Feel sorry for me. Feel very sorry. Sympathy. Nah, don't worry about it. I'm all right. But as I said, just knowing that there is perhaps a biological reason as to why I feel overwhelmed a lot in foreign situations around lots of people, when I have to take in a lot of brand new ideas at once, or I have to do a lot of things back to back. Too many things in a day wears me out. I can't do that. And it sucks because I also have an itch to be productive, which is a whole completely different topic, which I'm sure I'll get into some version of that, my obsession with and battle with productivity and guilt. Productivity and guilt together, finally, as one. But I have that need to be productive, but I also know if I schedule too many things, like today, I've been meaning to continue more of these videos, more of these reviews, and more of these discussions with you, because I like talking about this, but setting up all the lights and the camera and blah, 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 it can be too much for me sometimes, even just doing that. And I know that if I have to schedule shooting this, because this takes energy. This takes energy to do this. It feels natural for me, but it also takes energy because I have to do a heightened version of how I would talk about it normally because I'm trying to be at least somewhat entertaining, and that requires energy. People, energy, places, energy places, people, energy places. Sedona. Vortex. But I know that if I schedule recording a video or multiple videos and then also say, okay, I'm going to also do, I'm going to do some more written reviews, I'm going to do some more reading, I'm going to do some studying, I'm going to work on website stuff, I'm going to work on back-end things, I'm going to work on graphics. I can't do that all in a day. Much as I want to, my ego's like, do it all, do all those things. And I'm like, I can't. I only have so much energy, and that's if I make myself do all these things, and this is still related, but this goes a little bit more into productivity, but this is really about that kind of being overwhelmed and doing too much and being burned out. I'm going to be burned out, as I already said. That's going to happen to me. So I've learned some things. So I have taken away some things from my own life that I've been trying to schedule less things in a day where I can. I can't always control that. I can't control what other people need from me all the time or what situations become pressing or an emergency. So I try when I can to do more focused things. So only a very, very few amount of actual tasks, especially ones that require a lot of brain power. Or if it's one thing that's very social, I hardly schedule anything else in the day because I know that's going to fucking wipe me out. And it doesn't matter if I like the people or not. Excuse me. Even if I like the people, it still fucking drains my energy. It's still intense for me to do that. I have to practice. I have to prepare myself emotionally to do that. Anyway, back to this book that we're talking about. It's really well written. I really enjoy it. It's very friendly. She is a psychotherapist, so she proves that she knows how to talk to people in a very comforting way. So it doesn't feel intimidating. It doesn't feel clinical. It feels friendly. It feels like she's holding your hand through this, and it's like, hey, you know what? It's okay. You know, this happens. A lot of people have that problem. It's okay. You're still a man. There are pills for that. She has these questions at the end of every chapter meant for personal reflection, to think about what that topic was in that chapter and go, okay, how have I seen this in my own life? How have I experienced this topic directly? To be aware of it, to see what's going on in this area of my life. One of the areas that I thought was really, really fascinating, and I already have another book which I've already read, so I'm going to have a review for that book in time, but it was about attachment theory, which I'd heard from some people. Actually, a friend of mine is a therapist, and she had talked about this idea of attachment theory, and I didn't know about it at the time, so I went kind of researching it, and just so happened at the same time I was reading this. So I came across it, and I was like, oh, cool, it's that thing you were talking about that sounded really neat, and it is neat. Woo. Attachment theory is basically the quick version, because I will do a full review on that book at some other point in time. But that concept is really just about you form a lot of your needs and wants in terms of a relationship based upon how you were raised and the influences you had. So whether you form a anxious style relationship, or you form a more secure relationship, or you form a more of a what's the third one? Distance, when you push people away. Anyway, the point is that it forms your attachment style for relationships, for not just romantic, but even friendships, anything. A lot of it's based upon how you were raised and what you learned from your parents. So she talks about, that's a whole chapter in this one, she talks about how being a highly sensitive person is influenced by how you were raised, and how that can develop or exacerbate an already built-in trait, an already biological trait. That was very fascinating, and of course made me want to learn so much more about attachment theory, and then I did. So I'm good. I don't know about you. Don't need to learn anything else. Fucking awesome. Wear my sunglasses. Woo. My only criticism about this book because it's written well, great information, it's applicable, it actually has usefulness at the end of each chapter. You can actually use the questions to work through ideas in your own life. The last 2 chapters went downhill for me. Chapters 1 through 8, pretty much in a row. It's like, oh, this is fascinating. Oh my God, yeah, I can see myself in this. Oh my God, this is so interesting. And, or boy, this really explains a lot. Boy, howdy. Oh, gee. The last 2 chapters kind of, they're not terrible, they just kind of went downhill. The second to last chapter was about prescriptions. Now she's a therapist, so she does have to occasionally prescribe things. I'm not a person who is interested in taking prescriptions for anything, not even, as I said in the review, not even headaches. I just don't take medicine for stuff. I would rather allow my body to learn to fight it off. It's not always the smartest idea though, at least in the moment. But whatever, that's me. So I'm not really into the idea of taking prescriptions to do that, to help my anxiety or depression or anything. I'd rather figure out things I can do on my own in the real world to lessen that experience, to improve my ability to deal with the emotions. So yeah, that chapter it wasn't a bad chapter, it was just it wasn't as interesting as the other ones. Partly because I don't care about prescriptions, and partly because there wasn't as much to talk about. There wasn't any stories to share. It wasn't as like, oh, I can really see myself in these prescription drugs. No. And the last chapter was all about how highly sensitive people tend to gravitate towards spirituality and religion and things like that. And I get it. I know a lot of introverts that absolutely are drawn to that. They tend to be more emotionally focused, more intuitively focused. So naturally something in the world of spirituality and religion would appeal to those types of ways of processing, those default ways of experiencing the world. The less prone to be analytical and logical. Not that they can't be, but they like that stuff. And I get it. I used to be extremely in the woo-woo, new agey, metaphysical, spiritual camp pretty much my whole life. No, half my life. And then it slowly, piece by piece, got worn away, and then I came to a point where enough got worn away. I'm like, okay, maybe I should start really researching the real natural phenomenon as why these things are the way they are, and then whoop, that's gone. Topic for another time. But yeah, she doesn't necessarily condone or support a particular religious or spiritual viewpoint in that last chapter. She's just like, it's been shown that people who have a sense of purpose and meaning, which often people attribute to something like religion or a form of spirituality, are usually happier. And I get that. I totally agree. Sense of purpose and meaning is important, but I also think we can do that without having to believe in things that aren't real. I think there are ways to come across a sense of intrinsic purpose and meaning that are based on actual facts of the world and not just made up shit. Too soon? Too edgy? Too extreme? Talking about that I don't like religion and spirituality? Yeah, I'm a fucking rebel, bro. No one's ever said that in the history of anything. Of course they have. I am much more of a skeptic. I am much more scientifically minded, or at least I try to be. How's that? Apparently my self-image says I am. Am I actually? I don't know. Maybe I'm still very emotionally sensitive and emotionally oriented. Probably I am. But anyway, as I said, that last chapter kind of thing about prescriptions. But overall, chapters 1 through 8 out of 10 were fucking great. So again, if you have experienced anything where you feel overwhelmed by too much information, by too much stimulation, by too many people, by too many new things at once, you feel that you need to go and recover very quickly from those things, you need to process things more than other people do, you need to take more breaks, you need to rest more, you feel overwhelmed with things that maybe a lot of people are like, oh, this is not that big of a deal, what's the problem? I'm not saying that you are a highly sensitive person. Excuse me, get the shadow on my face. But you might be, and I think you might enjoy this book because I definitely did. So check out the website for the full review that I also broke it down into different categories and I rated it. on information and applicability and some of the validity, like research and things. And you can check out the score on there. I do also have links to Amazon to buy the book if you feel so inclined, if you think that's something you might be interested in. And of course, it is an affiliate link, so I do get a tiny percentage of that if you choose to do it, which helps me out. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Very nice. Yeah. And that concludes my video review of The Highly Sensitive Person. I don't know what kind of a character that's supposed to be or why I'm doing it. Perhaps I should analyze it for days on end. Thanks again for watching. This has been Life You Imagined. My name is Nico, and I will see you next time.
Hey, you want to be a better person? You want to live a better life? Sweet! Make sure you hit subscribe on Life You Imagined YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit that fucking notification bell so you're always up to date with all the newest offerings from Life You Imagined. Don't forget to go ahead and hit like on the video and share with all your friends. Leave a comment with all your fucking useless information, because I'm never going to read it. Oh, and make sure you go over to lifeyouimagine.com and check out everything I have over there. Look at me, buy my stuff, do everything I want you to do, sales, marketing, promo. Buy my stuff, buy it. Look at me, pay attention to me and everything I do. I'm insecure.